That's not weird. That's not what we're drinking, are we?
It is.
Oh, that was? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh, it smells so good. Well, let's just see if we're on Facebook. We are! Hooray!
Yay!
Yeah, you didn't have to go to Catster.
Bum, bum, bum. Bum. Okay, this is a book I should really mention. This one's really good too. Modern modernity. I've never actually read this one. What are we gonna record from? If that. Oh. Treats Friday right here. Oh my, I've totally missed it. I could have made my section better. Boom, 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 boom. Hello there, it's good to see everyone. We'll be getting started in just a moment. I'm doing some research in order to prepare our discussion for today. Luckily, this is a topic of which I am very interested.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome. I am so glad that we're brightening your day, Lauren.
Thank you so much for brightening
Or
our day.
Karen,
by your
or
presence.
whoever it
Look at
is
that.
that's typing there.
Generally, it's Karen, but it could be Lauren too.
Yeah, glad to be here for you.
Mhm.
Welcome. So let me get the
Holding screen
splash
off of us.
screen off here. There we go. We have officially begun, and we're welcome back to Facebook. We are back again.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to move my bunnies because they're out of the shot. Is that
Perhaps
intentional? Is that intentional, Father?
I've not
Excluding
touched
our
your bunnies. I've not touched your bunnies. I have the rule generally in life of not touching
Other people's bunnies.
other people's bunnies. Yes.
There we go. We'll put the bunnies right there.
Okay.
Now they're in the shot.
There we go.
Barely in the shot, but the bunnies are in the shot. So welcome everyone. Happy Easter. Happy 4th day of Easter?
On the
On the
4th.
fourth day of
I would say
Easter,
so.
my true love gave
Fourth
to
day of
me.
Easter. Mhm.
Well, my true love gave to me, or whatever. We are drinking sardines again today. So yay for sardines.
Mhm.
I will,
It's quite a nice blend. It really is.
delightful.
It's one of my favorites I've found locally available.
Yeah, oops. 40 sardines right
Mhm.
there from the roastery. I guess we learned it was a restaurant. It was a restaurant. 40 sardines, maybe on the plaza.
Oh yeah. Somebody told us that. I forgot about that. It is nice and it's got some like nutty notes to it and a little bit of cherry.
You have a very well developed palate.
And
yes,
it's fruity too. It's juicy a little bit.
Guess what? We lost our camera again. So
Did we?
all the time?
Which camera?
The ash cam.
Oh, I'm not concerned about the ash cam.
I am.
I can see where your priorities lie.
Gotta bring the ash cam back on. What is now? What are you doing, ash cam? Hang on. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
I'll make it big again. So welcome here. Glad to have you all here. But the ash cam is not correctly set here, so gotta move it this way. It was including me, but we're still up here.
Good.
But so bring your questions in if you got questions for us to consider. We always like it to be nice and interactive. Sorry about the Facebook problems from yesterday. Don't know what happened, but
We were able to fix them, as it's obvious, and we haven't planned for them in case they break themselves again, about how to fix them.
that's right.
I think partly the issue is Facebook's platform is just a little unreliable, so we can hope that it works, but unless Facebook is doing their work, we can't really do anything on our side. So.
So very good. Well, good morning, Paul and Sarah. Good morning, Marilyn. Good morning, Bill and Donna. Deneen. Good to see everyone here joining us. Thanks for coming in and spending some time with us this morning.
Yeah.
So, any other introductory comments? I still have my other bunnies are here. So the one that my niece made for me, and then this one is from Peter Cottontail. As I'm speaking about my niece, let me go over and say hi to my niece.
Here it comes.
It's
Watch out for the face.
It's become
the face is coming.
a standard bit. Maybe I can get I'll get the bunnies in the shot this time here.
Okay.
So from the camera, here we go. There we go. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Laura. Hello, Rosalie. See, I got my bunnies over here. It's bunny time. Time to watch bunnies. So, happy Easter. I hope you're having a great Easter. Are you going to do some coloring today?
I might do some coloring. Today.
Yeah, coloring is good for the soul, I think. So, anyway, good to see you. All right, going back to the regular camera.
I'm not doing any coloring today. I hope not. If I do, you need to get some help for me,
All right.
please.
So bring your questions. We've got one question from Bev. How will the Eucharist be distributed after the quarantine is lifted? Well, that goes into the
Unknown.
Nobody knows file.
Yeah.
So I don't. My first pandemic. So how is it going to be like automatically everything just goes back to normal? Or is it a slow rollout? Do we go back to distributing precious blood as well? Do we go back to tongue, hand, doesn't matter? We have no answers at this point in time.
Right.
So we have received no
I
further
think
instructions.
the diocese is being very prudent. They've
Uh-huh.
essentially told us not to plan anything until the end of this quarantine. At this point, and
Yeah.
so they will reevaluate precisely what we're to do once it comes to a point where we can start doing it, and we'll take it from that point.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't even plan the sacraments for the RCA candidates or anything like that. We've received a directive that says, do not plan them. This is how you may do it at that point, but do not plan those sacraments. So we're at the point that we're just waiting and seeing.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
we just don't we do not have any answers on that, unfortunately. I wish that we did, but there's nothing to report at this point in time. So then Debbie wanted me to make sure that I mentioned about Divine Mercy Sunday. We are going to do a special service because we are in the Divine Mercy Novena. I hope you're praying that lovely chaplet. And then at 2 o'clock on Sunday, we'll be doing a live streaming of the Divine Mercy Chaplet and Holy Hour. So that's 2 to 3 on Sunday. Everyone is welcome. It'll be here theoretically on both streams, on both Facebook and YouTube, 2 to 3 on Sunday.
Mhm.
And then
Sarah asks you a question.
yes, 4, 2, and several months is what, or 1. 4, 2, and 1.
You're testing as an uncle.
That's right.
I've got 18 or 19.
Those nieces. I've got others.
Yeah, I've got 18 or 19 nieces, and I'm really lucky if I know a few other ages. So I can
And some-
tell you, he's about yay tallish. I think. Is he 12, 13? I don't know.
Sometimes I get some videos. It's pretty sweet. So I keep on doing that little thing there because I keep getting videos from my sister who sends me videos of my nieces responding, and it's pretty darn sweet. And so if I don't do it now, then there might be some disappointment there on the other side. So trying to lift everyone's spirits. Remember, we're community in the distance here on our fireside chat. So
Certainly are.
So the Divine Mercy 2 to 3 on Sunday, and then also we still need building connections callers. Please contact Debbie Eisenhower or Elizabeth Steinbacher. Maybe I need to send up another flock notes because it seems
Perhaps.
that seems that it's stalled a bit. But we need to make sure that we are staying in contact. That'll get into kind of our main topic of the day that I think we're going to talk about. So anyway, keep your questions coming. I don't know if there's any other questions here. I'm checking over on the tube. I don't see anything over there. And then back on the Facebook. So there is that. How big? You've got a question there from Pat Hayden. How big is Father Ashmore's family?
It depends on the day. Depends on how many more we've received into the world.
I see.
Every
Okay.
time I turn around, there's another one. I've got 8 siblings, and I've got 18 or 19 nieces and nephews. I'm number 7 of 9. I was an uncle when I was 5.
You're like the Borg.
Yeah, exactly. So I was an.
I think I've probably referenced that before.
What's that?
I think I've referenced that before.
Probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of us.
Mm-hmm. And then I Zoomed yesterday with my family. It was quite lovely to see everyone's faces. So if you have not done Zoom yet, so those conspiracy theorists that are out there, whatever. It's Zoom is behind it all because their stock is probably soaring because no one had ever heard of Zoom before. But everyone's Zooming now.
It is true.
But it's very easy. That's probably why everyone's Zooming. And it's a great way to stay in contact.
And it's reliable. It's way more reliable than like FaceTime. I mean, FaceTime cuts out all the time, and this has been rock solid in my experience.
Yeah. So if you have not yet experienced Zoom, that's a great way to stay in contact with a large group of people. I mean, there are other things too, like Google calls or whatever, and I've been doing some calls over Messenger too. That's been pretty effective. So anyway, the Zoom calls have been very nice, and then you Zoomed
my family
on Easter.
Yes, Sunday night. 8 of my siblings, so including myself, so 8 of the 9 were able to be on the phone call, which is pretty cool. We haven't done that in a really long time. So.
Catalina asks about, is it only English? Well, it's being set up by the English committee at the moment, pero es posible podemos hacer algo también en español si quiere. Entonces, habla conmigo las posibilidades para organizar algo para la comunidad hispana. Claro, la adoración del Santísimo es los dos. So we can have adoration is out of language, so it doesn't matter what language you speak there. But yes, currently that is programmed for English, but we can maybe let's talk and figure out what we can do, because I know it's a big feast for everybody. So what can we do to make happen? Last year we had a couple things going on. I'm just responding to what has been asked for me. So if we want to organize something, si quisiera organizar algo, estoy muy disponible de hacer algo en esta fiesta de Divina Misericordia. So, yes, that's the other conspiracy theory. We're just kidding about conspiracy theories, by the way. I'm not really endorsing any, but you just think of, because I keep on questioning, because people sometimes say, it's overrated or it's overhyped or whatever, but like nobody is benefiting from this except for Zoom and Amazon. And I keep on saying the toilet paper companies, but they're not really either.
They're behind they would have had.
I joke.
If they were prepared for this, they would have had a better supply.
That's right. And Zoom has been great.
And that is true, Debbie. I do have a twin brother. His name is Robert.
So very good. So yeah, keep your questions coming if you got any other things to mention. I wanted to mention also, I don't know if anyone has seen this new series called The Chosen, but I'm hearing more and more people commenting about it, and I might try to check that out. It's so Father Sean Tunick is a friend of mine, and he says it's the best. I think he says it's the best Jesus show he's really ever seen. So
wow,
because I'm gonna turn the music down. Some of those Jesus shows, they can be either slavish to the text, so they're not very interesting, or artistically engaging, or they take so many liberties with the text that it's like, is this even
right? Or they're just bad.
Or they're just
or they're just like the acting is totally static. It's like Christian media is terrible generally.
Generally it is. There's that video. What is that? That you were showing me the other day, and you.
Yeah, there's some really bad stuff out there. Oh my.
But anyway, The Chosen. I've heard good things about it. I might try it. I've watched all of like 30 seconds of it. It was coming up in Facebook all the time, and I was like, oh, it's another Jesus show. Maybe I'll get to that. But again, I hear good things about it, so I might try to watch some of that. But if anyone has watched it and can give further endorsement of it, you might check that out. So it's on this thing called VidAngel. I don't think it's on Netflix. VidAngel. It's Dawn says it's really good, and A Hidden Life. It says PG-13. I thought page 13. I'm like, what's on page 13? No, PG-13. A Hidden Life. It's good. So it is impressive. The character. Okay. Just watched episode 8 last night. Yeah, sort of. And it's also what's really cool is it's apparently like this. This is a great idea. I've never heard anything like it. But Father Sean was describing this to me. It's like crowdfunded, right?
Oh, really?
And so what happens, I guess, is... So I think you can watch the first episode for free. I think you can all watch all of them for free. And then you unlock it. And then what happens is you pay it forward. So you watch the episode for free. And it tells you this episode was provided to you by Jane and Robert Studlick of New York.
I've heard about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then if you like it, I guess, then you pay it forward so that someone else can watch the show. And so then they're trying to get sponsorship for the season 2, which is just a brilliant idea. I think it's great, so that they have you watch it, and they're really trusting that you're going to enjoy it, and they're going to pay it forward. So I think it's great.
I think it's fascinating that they're able to do that too on an artistic level, because one of the difficulties with telling the story of Christ is not only that we have a text that we're coming from or anything like that. It's also that you have to have tension in a movie to be good.
Yes.
And you already know the ending.
True.
And so it's really hard to have a good movie in which you already know the ending.
Right.
And so it's fascinating. They're able to build that in such a way that people are wanting to see what happens next. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I need a little
that's okay.
tissue or something. I just abandoned you. So you might check that out. Joshua, that is very cute. I am not familiar with that one.
Some of the movies from the 1950s, like Bible movies, like the Ten Commandments, are actually quite good too.
But yeah,
Really good.
The Greatest Story Ever Told. Was that? Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, it feels like a 1950s movie at that point.
I don't think that's 50s. Is it 60s?
60s? It might be 60s.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen all of the Ten Commandments.
What? It's a great film.
That's what they say.
Uh-huh.
And maybe I have. But if I have, it's been years. So,
someone look it up. What year was the Ten Commandments released? Mm-hmm.
Well, it was about 10,000 BC or something.
This is true. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think it was later than that. 10,000. It would have been like 2000 BC or something like that.
I release to you the Ten Commandments. So very good. So we're going to talk a little bit today about, and Father Ashmore's got some books prepared for us. He's got a whole stack today.
Yep, these are my friends.
I am getting the sense that people are getting a little testy, anxious,
antsy. Antsy might be the word.
Antsy. Yeah. About this whole quarantine thing, and it just seems to be just what I'm reading, like on Facebook or whatever, the comments that I'm hearing. It seems to be that people are growing tired of this whole thing. That seems to be the sense that I am getting at this point. And I was thinking about, and we were talking about yesterday, we were talking about the experience. Now, this is not a retreat, but I think that there is some kind of comparable kinds of things that happen when you do like an extended retreat.
Certainly.
So I have done the longest retreat really I think that I've ever done is an 8-day silent retreat, and you've done a 30-day silent retreat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not the same, but there is some comparable things there, and I thought we'd just talk about that experience from our retreat and also from the study that Father Ashmore is going to share in a moment. But I think there's kind of a similar kind of experience that happens at a retreat and what we are going through here today. Generally, when I first start on a retreat, the first thing is like, okay, I got to get everything set, got to get everything ready, and then I can settle in. It takes me like a few hours or maybe even a day or so to kind of settle in. And then like that second day, I'm like, this is kind of nice. I've finally got some quiet. I can kind of do some prayer, and it's good. And then I get in, and it's really good, and I'm going deeper and everything. And then, like on my 8-day retreat, about like day 5 or 6 or so, I'm like, okay, I've had a lot of silence, and I could use something different. And I was looking for that book. I don't know where I put it at the moment, but there was a book by, he's a cardinal now, Cardinal Dolan, right, in New York.
Yep.
He's a St. Louis guy, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So he used to be the...
a couple classes below Archbishop Naumann, I think.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah, just a couple.
He used to be the director at the seminary in Rome, the North American College, what it's called. And he wrote a book. Well, there was a book compiled of basically his addresses that he was talking to the seminarians. It's called either Priest of the New Millennium or Priest of the Third Millennium or something.
Yeah.
Came out about 1999 or 2000. I loved the book as a seminarian, and it's got a real, would pithy be the right word? Or,
probably, yeah.
just really homespun kind of examples. Anyway, he was sharing the example at his retreat that he went to, a silent retreat. And if you know Cardinal Dolan, he's
not exactly what you would call an introvert.
No, he's very extroverted. He's on the news in New York and everything. And he really, I think he likes being with people. And he was sharing the story as how when he was on this retreat, after about 2 or 3 days of silence, he says, I was going batty. Because you're not supposed to do any other reading. You're supposed to just do, it's not just like read novels or whatever. Read spiritual reading, the Bible, and maybe just the Bible and something else, and nothing else. The rest you're really supposed to enter into silence. And he said, I was going batty. I found myself reading ketchup labels because I needed something. I was going crazy. And it seems to me that, again, this kind of what's going on, that seems to be the point that many people are at in this whole lockdown thing, is we're going batty a little bit. And we're reading ketchup labels because we're desperate for anything, because we're maybe growing tired of seeing the same people around all the time or whatever. We want to go out and do things. The wisdom of the retreat, and I don't know if it's completely comparable here, is that you need to kind of fight through that and don't go through the temptation of I'm just going to pull up Netflix and going to watch an episode or something to give myself a break. What they say for a retreat is don't let yourself do that, but really battle through that, because in a retreat at least you're probably being called to a deeper level, and it's tempting to throw that off and not go deeper. Again, I don't know if that's entirely comparable, but I think that some of the same feelings we are having, and the feelings might be to just, I'm just going to give up, and I'm going to go out. I got to go out. I got to go to a bar or something. I got to do something. And I don't think that's what we're being called to. Now, you have the experience. I've been talking for a while because I know you got a bunch of stuff but you had to tell about your experience of your 30-day retreat and what kind of happened on whatever day that was, 16?
Sure. So I did a 30-day retreat also. And, I did a 30-day retreat, as he was saying. And that was about 2 or 3 summers ago. Summer 2007, I think. 2017, pardon me. And I done several 5-day retreats. I done several, at least one 9-day retreat. And it came to the point that I knew what to do for about the second week. I was still going strong. But right after the second week of the retreat, and I was doing it according to St. Ignatius's spiritual exercises. So you do 5 holy hours a day.
Yep, I was doing the same thing. Yep.
Yeah, 5 holy hours a day. And then you can read the Bible, and you can maybe read one other spiritual reading, but you're not supposed to do anything else. The rest of the time, go on walks, pray, talk to the Lord. About day 17 was the day that it really hit me. I started wanting to leave on day 17. I started questioning why I was doing this. I started thinking, man, this is the dumbest thing I ever did in my life. I'm not a monk. Why have I chosen this? And it brought me to a point where I really needed to consider, in a certain way, the reason for which I had decided to enter it. And then pushing through that allowed me to enter more deeply into the retreat. But that whole experience there of this wall that I just seemed to hit, it was emotional, it was physical, it was spiritual. I remember just sitting in my room at one point and just kind of staring at the wall and realizing I had stared at the wall for like a half an hour. Because I had just been so bogged down by the emotional weight of being there for another 13 days. I mean, when you think about it, it's the 3rd day retreat. I've been there 17. Still got a long way to go.
Long way to go.
And I just hit this emotional, physical, spiritual wall. And I was able to push through that and talk to my spiritual director about it, and he gave me some tips. But that moment always stayed with me. This moment of total overwhelming oppression, it almost felt like. Not spiritual, not like speaking in a spiritual diabolical way, but this oppressive force just felt like was on me. And so that stayed with me. And as I thought about it and kind of studied what was going on, I discovered in a certain way that what I was experiencing was something very similar to what the early church called acedia, which is translated in modern documents generally to sloth. I would kind of claim personally that we shouldn't use the word sloth. It's not a bad word, but it doesn't capture the full essence of what acedia is.
Is that the noonday devil?
That is a noonday devil right here.
Oh,
so
is that what it's called?
The Noonday Devil.
There it is. Hey, you know.
So I read a book called The Noonday Devil by Jean-Charles Nott, who's a Benedictine monk. And it got me really fascinated in this idea of acedia. What is acedia? And so I ended up writing a whole thesis on the topic of acedia. 113 pages.
That is not slothful at all.
No, it's not. It's not. Because it's a fascinating topic. And so the title of my thesis was Boredom in the Contemporary Preacher. So I examined boredom in the light of the church's teaching on acedia, and then compared and contrasted the two, and then brought in some topics for how the contemporary preacher can reach into a person's boredom, is essentially what I did with that document. So really fascinating. But what does the early church say is acedia? We can actually, I want to read a couple of the effects of acedia. Okay, and I think we've all experienced this.
But do you know what time it is, right?
I do not know. Oh, it's for the ashcan.
It's ashcan time.
Ashcan time.
You look so comfortable in your book there, so we're going to switch you over here. Okay.
So, the 5 principal manifestations of acedia according to Evagrius Ponticus.
Okay.
The first one is a certain interior instability. The demon of acedia suggests to you the ideas of leaving, the need to change your place in your way of life. He depicts this other life as your salvation and persuades you that you are not alone. That if you do not leave, you are lost. So, did not Father Kent just say that a minute ago? That you feel like you need to get out of here? That's the first one. An exaggerated concern for one's health is another one. The thought of listlessness depicts to us a prolonged old age, severe poverty without consolations, and diseases that can kill the body. So perhaps we might see this in our situation as being overly concerned. Now again, we should be concerned with the coronavirus, but perhaps if we're becoming obsessed with the idea of getting sick by the coronavirus, or becoming obsessed with the idea of perhaps not taking care of ourselves, something like that. We're really getting concerned with that. A third one is aversion to manual work. That's one that I experienced when I was just kind of sitting there in my day 17. I couldn't feel like I didn't feel like I could do anything. A fourth one would be neglect in observing the rule, and the rule here is the rule of life of the monks. So this would be like getting up in the morning, taking care of yourself, neglect to observing the things that you need to do as part of your family. And a fifth one would be general discouragement, being discouraged in an extremely general way to where you feel like you just can't do anything. And this book is called The Noonday Devil
by
John Shawnee.
Okay.
You can see his name right here.
Look at The Noonday Devil.
So, if you're experiencing any of those things, you're probably experiencing in some way acedia, this interior struggle that happens when a person is on the way to salvation and he gets discouraged along the way. That's essentially how the early church fathers talk about it. It's one of two things that they normally say. It's either a tedium operandi, a disgust with working, or a disgust of the spiritual good, which means that we become disgusted even with the idea of doing good things because we are so overcome by this. So if you're experiencing this, that's normal. We talk of it as one of the vices, but the spiritual tradition normally speaks of it more as a evil thought. So Ponticus Evagrius really talks about it more as these 7 thoughts that come into our heart, and we have to push these thoughts away. So it's not as much something that's coming interiorly, it's something that's almost oppressing, assaulting us. If you're experiencing that, that's normal. What do you do with it? Right? That's the question. I think you can look to Evagrius, you can look to Thomas Aquinas, and you can see some really good pieces of advice. The first one they say that I go into is actually kind of surprising, probably. Physical pleasure.
Okay.
Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to relieve some of that stress. And so, obviously we're talking about good things here, but his example is taking a bath. If you're feeling that stress, it's good to just relieve the body. So, take a bath, take a shower, do something that gives you some form of physical relief.
Like a walk, going
on a walk, going on a run if you like that. That will help to deal with the bodily elements of this, because there's a certain bodily element
Uh-huh.
that perhaps you haven't had a good dopamine push in a while. Perhaps you just need to relax.
Which, of course, Aquinas would not have known about dopamine at the time, but
no. Mm-hmm.
modern science supports it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, feeling trapped at home and wanting to run away from the kids. That's a perfect example. And Sean the Baptist is watching this right now. He's disgusted. The second thing would be the importance of friendship. So taking time to enjoy good friendship if you can. Call up a friend. How does that help you through acedia? Your friends give you encouragement. So talking to them, you get first of all the pleasure of friendship. Second of all, they can help you to get through it all. The evil one always wants to isolate us. The worst thing you can do when you feel acedia is to isolate yourself more.
Mm-hmm.
You should go and seek friendship. Now, in a retreat, that's not really an option. But the spiritual writers would then say that would lead to the third one, which is contemplation, prayer. Prayer helps to relieve this acedia because it reminds us why we're here. It gives us a taste of the call in a certain way, and it shows us the end to which we're walking.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one is leisure, true leisure. This one I think is one that's particularly good for us because it can be really tempting just to want to sit and watch Netflix all day. But that won't actually cure your acedia.
Right.
That will just give you a certain, I would say, it's like taking morphine. It's not actually curing anything, but it's just numbing you for a little while.
Yeah.
So what would true leisure be? True leisure would be doing those things which help to bring you to a greater sense of peace, essentially. So reading, writing, playing games with your friends, other things that are leisurely and good. Having a nice meal with your family, that's true leisure, depending if you're the parents or not. But try to find those things that truly are recreating for you. Recreating? Recreating.
Baking bread?
Baking bread, yeah. If you love cooking, I love cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Cook, bake. Do something that is leisurely, that goes towards your spiritual good, and it helps the higher part of yourself rather than the lower part of yourself, and you won't be as tempted to the lower things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's I have a lot more I can say about that topic because I find all of that really, really fascinating, but I don't want to bore people with 113 pages of boredom.
That could be a new segment of our show, is you just reading like a couple paragraphs from your thesis every day.
You do not want to read a couple of paragraphs of my thesis every day. Some parts are good. There are some parts that are really, really dry, though. These are just some of the books that I read on boredom. You can see here, The Noonday Devil. So this is a really good book. This is one that I would really suggest to everybody.
Well, maybe we just keep this stack here and we maybe revisit some of these. It may give it like a book or two a day.
Sure.
Recommend any of these that you'd recommend.
Yeah, sure. I would really only recommend 2 from this stack.
Okay.
Maybe 3. The other ones.
Well, then let's talk
the other
about
ones.
those 3. Let me take you back to the ash cam.
Oh,
Here,
okay.
hold on. Where do we go here? Ash cam.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I'll get you there.
Yes, sir. The other ones that I was talking about, the boredom.
You're there now.
Their title merits the experience that they have when you're reading them. So if you're going to read this book by Peter Toohey, you're going to be bored. If you're going to read this book by Patricia Meyer-Speck, you'll probably be bored. And Boredom and Modernity, you'll probably not like that one either. But these 3 in particular I thought were very good. The Noonday Devil. This one is the best. Or which end am I on?
You're there.
I'm here? Okay. This one is the best.
Now hold it stable. There you go. I couldn't even try to put that one, the author's name in that one.
Okay,
so.
yeah. So, if you want anything that covers a topic from the spiritual tradition, covers a topic from from also a bit of a psychological experience, grab this one. It's really good. This one is called Still Bored in Entertainment in a Culture of Entertainment. And it asks the question about why our society is so bored even though we have so much entertainment, so many movies, what is that experience? And I thought his topic of it was very good. And Boredom and the Religious Imagination is very good too. I don't subscribe to everything he says in here, but I think he does a really great job of treating some of the topics. So,
Very good. I'm going to throw on, we got a recommendation here, and I will put that here in a second here. Network, web page, add, and then paste. Yes, we got a local celebrity here with us today. So we'll put a plug in for his show. If I can make it happen.
there we go. Making it.
I
Going.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. That's going to be good. So, so here is how we've cut ourselves off here. But ShawnTheBaptist.org, that's my friend Father Shawn Tuning right there. You can see him at the bottom of the screen. There's his webpage at ShawnTheBaptist.org, and then there's a direct link put in there. You can click right there, and it'll take you there. He is doing a local show. I think it's in the evening. Father Shawn can do that as well, Monday through Friday. So if you're looking for, he is very wise. He's got all kinds of great insights about all kinds of things. So if you're looking for another uplifting show and something that really dives into the theology and is from a local great, a local celebrity here, Father Shawn is right there. So there is the link for Father Shawn. All right, does anybody have any other questions here for us today? I think we're kind of running down at the end of our time. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. And if you have any other questions or things that you'd like us to talk about, we'll be happy to do so. But stay strong. We don't know how long this is going to go. It might be going for a while. And reach out to people. Please make those calls. I'm realizing I need to make some more calls and just check in with folks. And if you're feeling that pull as well, I encourage you. Pick up the phone. Pick up the Zoom. Make those contacts. I think there's a lot of people that are more lonely than we know and are struggling more than we know. And I have found, I mean, it's just digital, but it was just like last night. It was so delightful to have that Zoom conference with my family and just to see everyone. And my new little great niece or whatever was on there too, little Lily. It was just great to see her, even if it was from afar. It was just really rewarding. So if you're feeling that kind of loneliness or that kind of longing in your own life, I bet you there's some other people out there, and some people that are feeling it worse as well. So I encourage you to stretch out, reach out. So.
And the greatest spiritual writers say that the best way to really confront these things is by staying in one cell, which means for the monks to not leave your room. But it won't make us feel better when we're confronting all these things by merely giving in to the temptations.
Right.
If we give in to the temptations, it's just going to follow us. The best way to encounter these things is to face them in the face and say, I'm not going to be dominated by you. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to engage this part of me that wants something more at this point.
Yep.
And so when you're looking at your whole day and you think, what do I have to do today? Think, what is the best part of me? And how can I engage that best part of me? If you can do that, you'll really encounter this time and you'll find a lot of happiness and peace.
That's a great little nugget there. All right, so thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you. So we have confessions tonight. We are still going to do that tonight anyway, and we'll just see what kind of the attendance is tonight. And if there's like nobody there or very few, then maybe we'll let the kind of the Wednesday confessions fall aside, but we'll stick with just going back to our normal schedule, which is Thursday 5 to 6. But we'll see how things go today, and if there's a reasonable turnout, we'll maybe keep it in for another week. So, so confessions tonight 6 to 7, Thursdays are 5 to 6, and then Saturdays are 3:30 to 4:30. All right,
Sounds good.
I think that's everything. So,
Thank
all
you
right,
all very much
have
for coming
a
in.
blessed day.
God bless you.
Boom, boom, boom. I didn't put I forgot to put this whole thing up the whole time.
What is it?
The banner.
Oh, well.
Yeah, there it goes. But
Oh.
now I will do it, and there it is.